Hi, this is Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours. Thank you for joining us for our Move to Panama question and answer session. This live stream is all about you getting answers to your questions about moving to and living in Panama. I will get started with the questions and answers in just a little bit. We've still got a pretty steady stream of people coming into the live stream. So while we're waiting on them to get here, I don't want to start too soon. I just have a few announcements to make. First of all, for the benefit of those of you that are new, my name is Jackie Lang, the owner of Panama Relocation Tours. Since 2010, we've been helping people move to Panama. That's when we did our very first tour in March of 2010. We're currently doing tour number 273. We've helped thousands of people move to Panama the right way. We'd love to help you too. To get more information about our all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night Panama Relocation Tours, just go over to our website at Panama Relocation Tours and click on the Tours tab. And while you're over there, pop it up here on the screen, Panama Relocation Tours. While you're over there, subscribe to our newsletter so you can get 15 free lessons about moving to and living in Panama. So that's just a bit of an introduction. We have a lot of people that are on the live stream today, and I want to thank you so much for being here. The way that the Q&A works, if you haven't been on them before, is I'm not able to click on your name and unmute you so you can jump on the live stream with me. Instead, you're going to have to type your question into the chat window. If you're on your laptop, it's over on the right-hand side. If you're on your cell phone, it's below the video. So you'll have to type your question in, and then you'll put 3 question marks in front of it, please, so I can quickly and easily identify it as a question. One other thing before I take your first question, if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel also. We have about 5 new videos that are coming out really soon. They've already been shot. Our videographer is in the process of doing the editing. And if you subscribe to our newsletter, if you subscribe to the newsletter or the YouTube channel, either one, then you're going to be the very first person to know about our new videos. So if you have a question for me, all you need to do is type it into the chat window. Don't forget to put 3 question marks in front of it. By the way, for those of you that are thinking about coming on a Panama Relocation Tour, you should know that we're sold out until I think July the 18th is the next available tour. But if you'd like to come sooner, you can get on our backup list. And if you just go to PanamaRelocationTours.com and type in backup in the upper right-hand corner in the search feature, then you'll see how you can get on the backup list to be notified just in case we get an opening before July. If you're thinking about coming on a tour, I'd strongly advise you to put down that $500 per person deposit to reserve your seat, because we do sell out, as you can see, several months in advance. So here's our first question for the day. Noah says, is there an additional fee to add a spouse to the Friendly Nation visa application or the pensionado visa? And are you allowed to work? So there is an additional fee for a spouse. For the lawyer fees, they're going to, every lawyer is a little bit different, so there's not just one right answer. For the Friendly Nation visa, most lawyers are going to charge about $2,000 extra to add a spouse. Some lawyers charge $800 to add a spouse, so everything's a little bit different. And if you're on the pensionado visa, you're not allowed to work in Panama. The objective of the pensionado visa is for you to come to Panama to be retired. If you want to work, you need to get a different visa. And they are pretty aggressively going after people that are working without a work permit. Aisha says, currently only 2 attorneys listed in the guide assist with Friendly Nation visa. No, there's 3 attorneys listed in the online guide that do the Friendly Nation visa, 3. There's only 2 that do the Friendly Nation visa by setting up a corporation. We are adding another one. We have to verify their prices, and we've already got a lot of recommendations for them, so we'll be adding someone soon. Until we get pricing and we know it's reasonable and recommendations, we don't add people. Allison said, is there a video about Santa Fe? I'm curious about that area. Nope, we don't have any videos about Santa Fe. It's quite isolated, and in the 15 years we've been doing tours, we only had one person that moved to Santa Fe. They lasted about 3 months and then they moved away. Jane wants to know, if I have to stay a few days longer than the trip in Boquete, can I still use the PRT transportation back to the Panama City? So yeah, if you have any questions about your pre or post tour, the good thing to do would be to send an email to info@Panama Relocation Tours, and we can give you information there. So after your tour, for up to 7 days after the tour, we'll still provide transportation to the airport from Boquete to David, and we'll also book your airfare to go back to Panama City also. And Seaplane says, as a new associate member of the Mercosur Organization of Central America countries, are citizens of those countries enabled to non-visa entry for working into Panama? I'm really glad that you asked that question because I've gotten a couple of emails about this also. For people that don't know, the main countries are Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay are the main founding members of this. Then there's some other associate members, with Panama being one of them. And I've talked to 3 different immigration attorneys about this, and they say that yes, you can live in Panama. However, to work in Panama, you still have to go by Panama law. So any foreigner in Panama has to get a work permit. And that cost is about $500 to get a work permit, and it's good for 3 years, and then it can be renewed. There's also no guarantee at all that it's going to transition into a permanent visa. So before you, all of them said Panama law supersedes anything to do with the Mercosur organization. So I would suggest that you talk to an immigration attorney before you pack your bags and plan to move. By the way, you would have to have a passport for you to qualify the 2 years of visa-free living in Panama. You have to have citizenship and a passport for Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, or Argentina. The information that I got is that if it's an associate member like Colombia or Ecuador, that does not qualify you for 2 years of visa-free living in Panama. At least that's the information I have right now. I'm working on getting more information, and then I'll put out an article about it. So someone says, I can't click on it, do we need an adapter in Panama? If you're from North America, you don't need an adapter. The electrical outlets are exactly the same. If you're from Europe, you're going to need an adapter. Sandra says, what months do the seasons change so I can determine what months are best for me to move? So the seasons, there's only really 2 seasons. There's the rainy season and the dry season. We transition into the dry season in about the middle of December, and it lasts until about the middle of April. Middle of April, we transition over to the wet season or the rainy season. However, we don't get a lot of rain until about October, November. We will get some evening rain showers, but not a lot of rain. A better question for you to ask, Sandra, about when to transition to moving to Panama will be what's the best time to move to Panama? And I can tell you that if you come in the dry season, that December, January, February, March, April, if you come then, that's also when the snowbirds come down to Panama, the people from Canada that want to get away from the cold weather. So there's fewer rentals. There's a shortage of rentals in some areas, and some landlords jack the price up. So I would say don't come in the dry season if you're planning to move here, because you can certainly move here. It's just you're going to have less inventory to select from and know that your prices might be higher. And Jim says, sometimes back, Jackie, you mentioned in a video what roof type material people should look for. And what was that? Metal sometimes, yeah, a metal roof. If you just have a metal roof, when it rains, it's going to sound like a freight train going through your house. But if you have a cement fiber roof, it's still going to have that wavy look to it. If it's cement fiber, then you're not going to hear it whenever it rains. Tina says, are No-see-ums reported in Pedicey and Coronado. Yes, they're in both of those areas. I've been to both of those areas and gotten no-see-ums. I think it was a little bit worse in Pedicey than it was in Coronado, but I've had it in both areas. It's even worse, by the way, in Boquete del Toro, at least for me. And Michael wants to know, I'm mostly only here about places on the Pacific side besides Bocas. What other areas on the Caribbean side are good? The only area that I would consider good on the Caribbean side is Boquete del Toro. A lot of the Caribbean side is not developed at all, and the few areas that are, like Colón, it's the highest crime rate in all of Panama around Colón. So I wouldn't call that a good area. Travis wants to know, if a person buys an apartment or a condo, is there a fee associated with that purchase, like HOA fees? Yes, if you buy an apartment or a condo, it's absolutely going to have HOA fees. There's a lot of people along the Pacific coast that live in condos, that bought condos, that are in a rage right now because their HOA fees maybe went from $250 to $350 a month. Some of them are even higher. So you need to make sure you read the deed restrictions for the HOA, and what are the fees right now, what percentage, 3%, 10%, how much can they raise it every year? So you need to know that before you go in. Dan says, I've noticed a lot of people buying vehicles in Panama. Is it worth shipping my truck? Well, that only you can decide if shipping your truck is worth it. You need to know that if you do ship your truck, it's going to cost, if you do a roll-on, roll-off, it's going to be $3,000. If you put it in a container to ship it here, it's more like $5,000 just to get it here. And then once you get it here, there's a 22% import tax, and within 30 days of it arriving, it has to be re-registered as a Panamanian vehicle, which is going to cost about $1,500. So you can see why most people just sell their vehicle and buy something different when they get here. By the way, the questions are coming in fast and furious like they usually do for our Q&A. If yours rolls off the screen before I get to it, you might have to type it in a second time. I'll get to it as fast as I can, but I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. And if I don't get to your question, you can send an email to info@PanamaRelocationTours.com. So Diane says, we're coming to Boquete in May. Are there doctors we can meet and interview? There are plenty of doctors in Boquete. My doctor in Boquete is Dr. Gomez. And when you get there, there's a Romero grocery store. His office is just a little bit north of there, across the street from a store called Milo, M-E-L-O. No appointment needed, just walk on in. Make sure you take your passport. Going Rogue says, is the release from vehicle import tax under temporary or only permanent? It's for any, there is no release for a tax on your vehicle. You can import a brand new vehicle every 2 years, but if you're bringing in a used vehicle, you have to pay the 22% import tax. Yvonne says, when I went to Panama, they only gave me 90-day visa. How do I get the 180-day? So that has become, it depends on what country you're coming from as to how long the visa is going to be, if it's 90 days or 180 days. The other thing that I've noticed that people have reported, that if you came to Panama for 180 days, then you leave for a week and then you come back, some people are only getting 2 weeks or 4 weeks whenever they come back. So you're not automatically going to get 180 days when you come back. Sandra says, what quantity or amount of boxes can you put on a typical shipping container for household goods? I really don't know. That's a good question for one of the international moving companies. In our online Panama relocation guide, we have a recommendation of several moving companies, and they can tell you. Now, normally you would not use a box. Most people, if they're going to ship things, they put it in a rubber tote. It's much more secure and it's waterproof, and that's a better way to ship your things. But they can tell you how many will fit in a shipping container, whether it's a 20-foot or a 40-foot container. By the way, let me click on the link over here. Our online Panama relocation guide that I just mentioned, you can get more details about that on our website at Panama Relocation Tours. And just click on online guide at the very top. It has recommendations for immigration attorneys, real estate agents, people to help you buy a car, health insurance brokers. It has details about how to find a rental, 17 important questions you need to ask, how to get your pets here. Everything you need to know is in that online Panama relocation guide. And next question here is Panama Mail a good forwarding company? If it's in our online Panama relocation guide, it's been highly recommended, so it's a good company. If it's not in our online Panama relocation guide, then I wouldn't be able to recommend it one way or the other. Mark wants to know, are seasonal allergies a thing in Panama? So some people move to Panama and any allergies they had completely go away. That happened to my husband when we moved to Panama. Other people move to Panama and they do get allergies when they move to Panama. So there's not one right answer. It's an individual situation. Wendy wants to know, previously you mentioned that a private hospital in Panama City offered its own health insurance. Can you tell me the name of the hospital, please? The name of the hospital has their own insurance. It's called Santa Fe Hospital, S-A-N-T-A F-E. And we have an article about that on our website, about their insurance, the pricing for the age groups, what's included, if there's co-pays. So if you go to PanamaRelocationTours.com, in the upper right-hand corner, just search Santa, S-A-N-T-A, space, F-E, and you can see details about that private insurance. It's excellent. I know a lot of people that have it and are very pleased with it. No, not a question. Okay. How safe is David, and are there any reasonably furnished homes to rent? So David is very safe. It does have crime, like some of the other bigger cities. It does have some crime, but you can get a furnished home for anywhere from $500 for a 2-bedroom furnished home. A 1-bedroom you can get for about $450. Up to $900. It just depends on how fancy it is. MSN has an article about Social Security benefits of America being suspended. Yes, they do suspend your Social Security benefits if you live overseas and your payments are going to a foreign bank account. Every 2 years, you're required to send in a proof of life statement, and if you don't do that, they're going to suspend your payments until you send it in. It happened to some people in Mexico, happened to people in Panama. I know people in Costa Rica that had that happen to them. If you don't send in the proof of life, your payments will be suspended. My first Social Security check got deposited on 4/23. Can I start my visa process before that? Nope, you can't start the visa process until you've actually received a Social Security payment. Once you get a Social Security payment deposited into your bank account, then you can start your visa process. Can you own and profit from an Airbnb on a pensionado visa? You can own and profit from an Airbnb on a pensionado visa. However, you need to know that you have to report that income in Panama and pay taxes on that income in Panama. And if you're from the United States, you have to report that income in the United States and pay taxes on that income there too. So you need to decide if paying double taxes is going to be worth it to you. So I'm not going to ask these political questions. I don't think that anything that Trump is doing is going to affect anybody in Panama. Are private tours available if we want to see 5 or 6 areas? So we do have private tours throughout Panama. And if you want to see 5 or 6 different areas, just know you're going to need 5 or 6 different tour guides, because the private tours are geared towards a certain area and teaching you as much as you need to know about that area as quickly as possible. So for example, if you want to see Panama City, you'd use the Panama City tour guide. If you wanted to tour Coronado, Gorgona, San Carlos area, you'd use a private tour guide over there. And then if you wanted to go down to Patterson, just a second, let me take care of some of this spam stuff that's coming in. If you want to take care of Boquete, you'd use a different tour guide for that. And you're responsible for using the bus or renting a car to get from point A to point B. Tina says, do they have wood-burning fireplaces in homes? They do. The farmhouse that I used to have that I sold last year, I had a wood-burning fireplace in it. It's real cheap to get wood delivered. You just have to be careful because snakes like to live in the wood piles. So you have to be careful whenever you gather wood. Don't go out and get it at night. Get it in the daytime. Have you heard Alto Boquete mentioned many times? How many neighborhoods are there in Boquete? So there are about 25 different neighborhoods in Boquete. Alto Boquete is just a little bit higher than Baja Boquete or Lower Boquete. But there's a lot of different neighborhoods, and each neighborhood has its own microclimate. So that's something to be aware of. It's one of the reasons we really encourage people, don't come to Panama and rush into buying anything. You need to live there for at least a year to make sure you like the microclimate before you buy. Tony says, I'm a disabled retired veteran. Do I have a Veterans Affairs clinic in Panama? Do I need to travel back to the U.S.? So there is no Veterans Affairs clinic or hospital in Panama. However, many of the hospitals in Panama do accept veterans benefits. So if you have like TRICARE or if you're part of the foreign medical program that covers service-connected disabilities, then you can take advantage of that in Panama without having to prepay, so you don't have to go back. Also, any medications, there are certain pharmacies that will deliver your medications to you. William wants to know, is it common to take over someone's apartment lease advisable, or should this be avoided? I would say that should be avoided because you're probably taking over more than just their apartment lease. Let's say that they haven't paid their electric bill for the last 6 months. You'd be stuck with that too. Susie wants to know, once I start my pensionado visa process, can I stay in PA while I'm waiting, or do I have to leave and return? You can certainly stay in Panama. Actually, we recommend that people don't wait and apply for your visa after you move to Panama. Then you don't have that airfare of going back and forth while you're waiting for your permanent visa to be ready. What part of Boquete flooded last summer? So the lower part of Boquete and Baja Boquete, they got some flooding. Someone also asked a question about how to arrange for a private tour. So if you go to our website at Panama Relocation Tours, and there's a tab at the top that said tours, and the drop-down menu says private tours, and that tells you how to book a private tour. Private tours are only about $250 a day, so if you know you want to live in a particular area, a private tour might be better for you than our all-inclusive 6-day, 7-night Panama relocation tour. However, I can tell you that it happens all the time that people said, I know I want to live by the beach, but they come on our tour and they end up moving to the mountains. Or people say, I want to live in the mountains, and they end up moving to the beach after they see it during a tour. So the only way to see a lot of different areas in Panama and get a real good feel on where you want to move to is to see a variety of different areas. You might start out with just one area, but don't rush into buying, and do some exploring before you settle down. Is it best to get our e-cedulas with our lawyer or a fixer? It's much better to get your cedula with a fixer, because lawyers are going to charge a lot of money to help you get your cedula. A fixer might charge $50. By the way, in our online Panama relocation guide, we have step-by-step details on how you can get that cedula all by yourself without paying $50 to a fixer or a couple $100 to your attorney. You can do it by yourself. And Cynthia says, I really want to take the tour and move to Boquete, Volcan, David area, but I need a retina specialist for eye injections that I need every 2 months. How can I find those specialists before I do the tour? So what you need to do is do a Google search for ophthalmologist in Panama. There's going to come up a list of several different ones. I've had several eye surgeries since I moved to Panama. I use an eye surgeon in Panama City, even though I live in Boquete, but there are eye surgeons in David too. So you can just search for ophthalmologist in Panama and start contacting them. Can I bring my 13-year-old dog to Panama? You can bring your 13-year-old dog to Panama. However, many of the commercial airlines are going to have restrictions that the dog can't be more than 11 years old, and they'll have you sign a release that says, we're not responsible for your dog if it has a problem during the flight, whether it's in cabin or in cargo. So you can do that. The other thing you can do so your dog can sit right next to you or in your lap during the whole flight and not be in a carrier is use one of our charter services. We work with one that it's kind of expensive. It's about $6,500 for you and your dog, but to get you right to Panama, but at least your dog doesn't have to go in cargo. And Noah says, we're on the backup list for a group tour. If we sign up for a private tour, then get notified that, can we get on the group tour, or can we cancel and get a refund for the private tour? So many of the private tour guides don't even request that you put down a deposit for the private tour. But if you let them know at least 30 days in advance, then they'd be glad to refund your money. We're not involved in collecting money for the private tours. You pay the private tour guide directly. Where is the best location in Panama City? Should I get an Airbnb reservation to be located nearest to the locations where I can be doing my visa application process? So you don't have to be close to the visa application process. You're going to meet with your immigration attorney when you first come to Panama City for about 1 hour in their office. And you can take an Uber to get there for probably $3. And then after that, everything else is going to be done at the immigration office. Even if you're staying like in the San Francisco or El Cangrejo area of Panama City, immigration is a 10-minute drive. It's not very far. Once again, you're looking at a $3, maybe $5 Uber or taxi ride. So you don't have to be right next to immigration. You're going to probably have a more enjoyable time if you stayed in the El Cangrejo area or San Francisco area of Panama City. Ada wants to know, I have a state pension that I could start claiming now, but it's only $1,175 for pensionado visa. Is the $1,000 requirement gross or net? It's going to be net. It's going to be the amount of money that's actually deposited into your bank accounts. That's an important thing to know. So if you have Social Security, let's say that's $1,200, and there's a $1,250, but it's a couple that's applying together, and you have Medicare taken out of your payment, it's not going to count because Medicare puts you below the amount that you need. You need $1,250 net for a couple to apply for a pensionado visa, or $1,000 for one person. And Travis, I see your question. Let me jump to that real quick. Where are the beach areas in Panama? Panama has 1,750 miles of coastline. There's some on the Pacific side, there's some on the Caribbean side. The beach areas are anywhere along that coastal area. The most popular beach areas are 3. There's going to be they call it the Pacific Riviera, which is around Coronado, Gorgona, San Carlos, Rio Hato, that area is a popular beach area. The other one is on the eastern Azuero, which would be between Chitre and Pedicey. There's a lot of beach areas there. And then another super popular beach area is on the Caribbean side in Bocas del Toro. John said, is the pensionado visa $1,000 per month requirement for Social Security income plus $250 for dependent for a total income of both husband and wife to both need a verification letter? So you can combine your income. So if a husband and wife are both getting Social Security, you can combine your income. It's $1,000 for one person, or if you're applying together, it's $1,250 for a couple. And if, let's say, the wife makes $1,250 in her Social Security pension, then that's all you need to show. You don't even need to show any other income. But let's say one of you makes $900 and the other one makes $500 in your pension, you can combine those to be able to meet the requirement of $1,250 to qualify. Is Panama City or New York part of wheelchair accessible? So there aren't too many areas in Panama that are wheelchair accessible. There's an area in Panama City called Costa del Este that's definitely very wheelchair accessible. Also, Valle de Anton in the mountains and the town of Boquete. They both are very wheelchair accessible, but many other parts of Panama, not so much. Someone asked me if Chitre is in the mountains. It's not in the mountains. Do you need a car if you live in Coronado, or is it walkable? You're going to need a car, or be prepared to spend $100, $200 a month on taxis. That's not really walkable. You should know that Coronado is not like a town with a town square. There's a residential area, and then there's some shopping areas, but it's not like a town. And PR says, can someone seeking a pensionado visa also be granted a visa for live-in aid, adult child to be there too? No, if it's a relative, then they cannot be granted a visa as a live-in aid. But the live-in adult child can get their own visa. I would recommend that you look at an article that we have that says 4 ways to get a Friendly Nation visa. Item number 4 is how you can get a Friendly Nation visa by setting up a corporation that issues you a labor contract. And that's an easy way for an adult child that doesn't have a pension to get a visa for Panama. PR says, can someone seeking, I already did that one, just a minute. By the way, if you joined us a little bit late and you're wondering, how can I ask a question? All you need to do is type it in the chat window, put 3 question marks in front of it, and then I will click on it and pop it up on the screen and answer it for you. Do you have to be married in order to apply for a Friendly Nation visa together? You have to be married. You can't apply separately. Common law marriages are not recognized in Panama. Also, same-sex marriages are not recognized in Panama. Is the private hospital in Chitre associated with the Panama City Hospital that's taking Medicare Advantage? So the private hospital in Panama City is associated with the San Fernando Hospital in Panama City, and neither the one in Panama City nor the one in Chitre are accepting Medicare Advantage or the GEHA insurance. They don't want to. Dave says, are electric bikes legal in Panama, and are they advisable? Electric bikes are legal in Panama. And we did a video recently of a couple that has electric bikes and ride them around. Using them depends on where you live. You have to be really aware of your surroundings when you're riding a bike, whether it's electric or not. Kevin wants to know, does Boquete have good gyms to join? They have a lot of, I think, 5 different gyms in Boquete, so there are some that you can join. I'm single and don't need more than one bedroom. In addition to Panama City, where are there condos or apartments? So there's also condos and apartments in the Coronado, San Carlos, Gorgona area. There's apartments there. There's some very small apartments that are in the Chitre area, also Penanome, Boquete. Those all have small apartments. They also have one-bedroom houses or a studio that you can get in any town in Panama. Deb wants to know, is the Albrook Mall area a good place to stay in a hotel for a few days after the group tour? The Albrook Mall is a great place to stay. There's a Wyndham, I think, hotel that's close to there. So it's a great place to stay. When buying a car in Panama, can you get financing or do they want cash? They want cash, but you can get financing if it's a new car. It's almost impossible to get financing for a used car. By the way, remember that if you have a question for me, you need to put 3 question marks in front of it. Otherwise, I won't know that it's a question. Bruce wants to know, I have applied for a pensionado visa. Do I need to apply for a visa for my healthcare attendant? So if you have a healthcare attendant that's not Panamanian, first of all, healthcare attendant is a protected profession for Panamanians only. So it's unlikely that your healthcare attendant would be able to even live here in Panama unless they're Panamanian. It's a protected profession. What is the nearest hospital near Gorgona? The nearest hospital to Gorgona would be in San Carlos. It's a public hospital, and they can't take care of big emergencies like a heart attack or a stroke. Instead, they would send you to Penanome. Otherwise, you can go in the other direction, an hour and a half to 2 hours to Panama City. Can I ask which area you live in? You describe your rental. It sounds like what my mom wanted. I live in Boquete. I read in your email that banks allow up to 2,500 deposits. No, banks will allow a deposit for any amount. If you're wiring the money in, you can wire 40,000, 50,000, 100,000. You can have direct deposit of any amount. If you're wiring the money in, if you're going to write a check to deposit you can deposit U.S. checks in a Panama bank. And if you're doing that, then most of them have a limit of $3,000 per check per month. But if you talk to the manager, sometimes they'll give you a waiver for it to be a larger amount. And is there a good expat city between Boquete and David? There is a lot of good expat areas. South of Boquete, there's a lot of little communities. There's Caldera. It's a great expat community. There's also Los Molinos is a gated community, lots of expats there. The video we recently did is in El Francis on Emerald Drive, quite a few expats there. There's also the town of Dolega, Puerto Rios. Those are all good towns that are between Boquete and David. And next question is, you talk about many areas in Panama, example Albrook. Do you have maps showing where they are? We give out a map whenever you come on a Panama relocation tour. Then we give out a huge map that shows where all these different areas are. You can buy that map on Amazon. If you send me an email, I can send you a link to it. Or when you come on your Panama relocation tour, you're going to get the big map for free. Is there less rain in Valle compared to Boquete? Actually, no. Valle gets more rain than Boquete. And John wants to know, if I get my temporary pensionado visa For how long am I allowed to leave and come back before I get my permanent visa? And do I still have to show a return ticket when I return? So once you get your temporary visa, you don't need to have a round trip ticket whenever you come back. You can get a one-way ticket when you come back. Your permanent visa should be ready in 6 months, might be ready in 5 months. But within 6 months, when your permanent visa is ready, you need to come back to get it. So you can be gone for up to 6 months after you get your temporary visa or whenever your permanent visa is ready. How do Americans gain access to their money there? Will my Amex work? American Express is not going to work well in Panama at all. Most places don't accept it. Hotels, grocery stores, places are not going to accept American Express. So if you're just traveling as a tourist in Panama to get access to your money, you can use your debit card at any ATM machine, but it should be not an Amex debit card. However, you should know that there's a limit of $250 per transaction. You can only get 2 transactions per day, and there's a $6.50 charge every time that you get $250 at an ATM with a foreign debit card, not a Panama debit card, but a foreign debit card. So I would highly advise that you get a debit card that reimburses you or that is not that's going to reimburse you for any foreign transaction fees like that. Can a retired couple live comfortably in Panama on $2,500 a month, or does it depend on the area? It absolutely depends on the area. $2,500 a month, you could even live in some areas in Panama City, but it's a little bit more expensive in Panama City. It's definitely more expensive in the Coronado area. There's some areas where you could live very well on $2,500, other areas where it would be tight. So I do not need to open a bank account to rent. You don't have to open up a bank account. If you're getting a pensionado visa, you're not required to open up a bank account. To rent, you're not required to open up a bank account. However, your life's going to be so much easier if you do get a Panama bank account. Is there a limit on transfer funds from Schwab once I open a bank account in Panama? There is no limit on how much you can transfer if it's a wire transfer. And Jim wants to know, how important is it to be fluent in Spanish? It depends on where you live, Jim. Some places where there's a high concentration of expats, like Coronado area, Boquete area, you can get by with no Spanish at all. But a hola would be appreciated, just to be courteous. Other areas of Panama, you're going to need to learn a lot more Spanish because there's not very many expats, so many of the locals don't speak English, and even the menus and stuff are going to be in Spanish or Spanish. So it depends. What U.S. banks are easy to wire money to Panama Bank and cover ATM fees? I don't know the answer to that question. I know Schwab and Vanguard are 2 organizations that do have, they issue a debit card that reimburses you for the foreign transaction fees. There may be others that I'm not aware of, but Schwab and Vanguard are 2. Will I be able to keep my money in my U.S. account if I move to Panama City? You can definitely keep your money in your U.S. account. However, for you to pay rent, you're going to have to get access to cash to be able to pay rent, so you can deposit it in your landlord's account. You can use your credit card or debit card to buy groceries at restaurants and things like that. But there's going to be times when you need to get access to cash. If working as an independent contractor freelancer, would the foreign income tax credit apply? So the foreign earned income exclusion, there's rules for that. So if you live overseas full time and you're not you're not back in the United States more than 30 days in a whole year, then that could definitely qualify you for the foreign earned income exclusion. For the current taxes that you're filing for 2024, it's $126,500 that you can exclude from your taxes. Just keep in mind that if you're an independent contractor or freelancer and you're selling products or services in Panama, freelance services, then you're going to owe taxes in Panama. You're not excluded from taxes in Panama. Is there a private hospital in David? How about Concepcion? In David, there's two private hospitals. One is Hospital Cherokee. The other one is Hospital May Lewis. Both of them accept Medicare Advantage and other U.S. insurances. In Concepcion, there's a very small private clinic, but no private hospital. I'm sorry, it's a public clinic in Concepcion, but there's no private hospital there. What banks provide statements and transactions in English? None. None of them do. Can I start the process for a temporary pensionado visa and leave Panama before it's complete? No, you have to finish. For getting your temporary pensionado visa, you need to be in Panama about 5 days. You'll walk away with a temporary card, the temporary visa card. So until you get that temporary visa card in your hands, you should not leave Panama. What is the price range of health insurance? The price range of health insurance depends on your age. It's all about age here in Panama. We have a great article on our website called Health Insurance Options. So if you go to PanamaRelocationTours.com and search health insurance options, don't click on the one that says live stream. Click on the other one, because there I have a brochure to several different insurance companies that shows exactly what the prices are depending on your age. If you're 50, it's this. If you're 40, it's that. If you're 70, it's this. So it shows you what's included and what the prices are. That's health insurance options. Don't click on the one that says live stream, click on the other one. Are there any theme parks there? No, there's no theme parks. Can I start the process of getting my temporary visa and leave before I already did that one? No. Answers no. My husband is a musician. How long would it take to get a work permit? So it depends on which attorney you use. Some of the attorneys that we work with, it's taking about 2 months to get a work permit. Other attorneys, it could take up to a year to get your work permit. And Julianne says, is Valle de Anton the same town as El Valle? Or are they two different places? It's the same. El Valle and El Valle de Anton, it's the same. Can you be a snowbird and still get a pensionado visa? You can. Snowbirds can still be here. The rules for a pensionado visa, once you get your visa, there's a temporary visa that you get first, and then you get your permanent visa. Once you get your permanent visa, there's no requirement to live in Panama. You only have to come back for at least 1 day every 2 years to maintain your visa. The advantage of getting that pensionado visa, even if you're not living there full time, is you can get 25% off your airfare when you come to Panama, 20% off your meals when you come to Panama, 50% off at the movie theaters when you come to Panama. So the pensionado visa would basically, all those discounts would pay for you to get a visa. And who knows, you might change your mind and decide to live in Panama full time. Good question, Yvonne. What's a fixer? A fixer is a list of people that we have in our online Panama relocation guide that can help you get things done. So if you want someone to go with you to the cell phone store to get your cell phone service set up where they might not speak English, you can get a fixer to go with you. If you want someone to help you get your Panama driver's license, a fixer can go with you. You can have a fixer go with you to Hospital Santa Fe to get signed up for their insurance because they don't speak English at the insurance department there. So a fixer is someone that's bilingual that can help you with so many different things. Auto registration, they can go with you to the doctor, drive you there, and just stay with you if you want them to. So it's just someone to kind of be your right-hand man or right-hand woman here in Panama. Kevin says, how long on average is the retirement visa taking from start to finish? So the retirement visa, also known as the pensionado visa, it takes about 5 days to get the temporary visa. Then you will have your permanent visa definitely within 6 months. Most people are getting it in 5 months right now, but you'll definitely have it within 6 months. And Jerry says, what is the average rent in the Coronado area? The Coronado area is not very wheelchair accessible at all. And the rents range from, in Coronado, the cheapest rent I've seen in Coronado was $750. However, it had a cell phone tower in the backyard, so that's not a very good one. I would say the starting point is about $1,200 for a condo or apartment in the Coronado area. Gargona is a little bit more affordable. San Carlos is a little bit more expensive. If you first get a Friendly Nation visa via purchasing property, and then 2 years later your Social Security starts, can you then transition to a pensionado visa? You cannot do that. So this is what happens. If if it's 2 years later, you're getting ready to get your permanent Friendly Nation visa anyway. Once you get your permanent Friendly Nation visa, and if you meet the age requirements of 55 for women and 60 for men, you're going to get all those pensionado discounts anyway. If you wanted to switch over to a pensionado visa, this is what you have to do. You'd have to renounce your Friendly Nation visa. Then you have to start the visa process all over again. New criminal report, new income verification, new attorney fees that you would have to pay to switch over to a different visa. So you really don't want to do that. Is it possible to live on $1,000 a month in some areas? Absolutely. I know people, and we have some videos of people that are living on $1,000 a month in Chitre, in Pedisi, in David for sure, in Dolega, in Boquete, you can live on $1,000 a month. Who would be denied a pensionado visa? So the people that would be denied a pensionado visa, we actually have an article about that on our website. So if you search, go to Panama Relocation Tours and search eligible, then it's going to give you the information on who would not qualify for a visa. So someone that would be denied a pensionado visa is if you have a felony, then you're not going to be able to get a pensionado visa. If you ever serve jail time, you're not going to be able to get a pensionado visa. If you had arrest for assault, you're not going to be able to get a pensionado visa. And also, if you don't meet the income requirements, then of course you're not going to get a pensionado visa. And do you know a good resource to understand protected job classification titles? My wife's U.S. company wants her to work for them in a Panama consulting firm. So we do have a list of protected professions. There is another visa that's called a professional visa. And if you have a college degree that's in a profession that's not a protected profession in Panama, that's another path to getting a visa. Although it takes about a year to get approval before you can even apply. But in that article, so if you search on our website, professional visa, I have a link to a list of all of the different protected professions. What airlines are recommended for travel? Any airline that comes to Panama is a good airline. Panama has an airline called COPA, C-O-P-A. I think it's absolutely excellent, and they have many nonstop flights to Panama. Might have a connecting flight, but it's a really good airline. What's the average rent in Boquete? So rents in Boquete range from about $400 to $3,000 and everything in the middle. So you can't just say what's the average rent. It depends on the condition. Is it a Panamanian style house, North American style house, gated community, 1 bedroom, 3 bedroom, what amenities does it have, what's included. So it just depends. If you could see a change in the pensionado visa, what would it be? So if I could see a change in the pensionado visa, um, I think it's good. I think the pensionado visa is good, the way that it is. Do most people get health insurance in Panama versus their home country? So most people that move to Panama do get Panama health insurance. However, there's a growing number of people that they will just self-insure and they will not get Panama insurance, or they may have Medicare Advantage and they use that for emergencies only. The reason that people don't get Panama health insurance is because they don't qualify. So what could disqualify you from getting Panama health insurance? To get Panama health insurance, you have to be fully vaccinated for COVID. So if you just chose not to be vaccinated for COVID, you can't get Panama health insurance. If you have any pre-existing conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, if you ever had cancer, if you ever had any kind of heart surgery, you're not going to be able to get Panama health insurance. So for that reason, some people choose to either self-insure, which means they just set money aside and they pay out of pocket if they have any kind of medical needs, or if they're a U.S. citizen and they qualify, they get a Medicare Advantage plan that's going to at least cover any urgent care or emergencies in Panama with no pre-existing exclusions. What health insurance can a 79-year-old get in Panama? The only health insurance that's available for a 79-year-old in Panama is through Hospital Santa Fe in Panama City. They have no age restriction at all on their health insurance. I think at age 79, it's $145, $150 a month. So it's really not that expensive. Once again, we have an article about that insurance on our website. So just go to Panama Relocation Tours and search Santa, S-A-N-T-A, space Fe, F-E, and you can read all about that insurance and see the pricing. Earl says, when you're alerted to get your permanent visa, can you delay picking it up beyond 6 months? You cannot. When the resolution is issued that your permanent visa is ready, you need to come to Panama within 30 days to get your visa. Otherwise, there's a $50 per month per person penalty for every month that you don't pick it up. So just get on a plane and come on down. You just have to be here for 2 or 3 days to get it. Is COPA very strict on luggage size? So they do have weight limits and size limits. If you fly business class, then you can have 2 70-pound suitcases plus I think a 22-pound carry-on in addition to that. If you're flying economy, you're allowed 1 50-pound suitcase. You can always pay extra. That's what you get for free. That's included, but you can always pay for extra luggage if you want to. I still don't understand why more people aren't on the Pacific beaches. Whenever I watch your videos, normally the only people on the beach are the 2 expats who are being interviewed. So people just don't, that's not a thing of people laying on the beach. If it's a Panama holiday, then you're going to see more people on the beach, but it's just not a thing to be out in the heat, 90-degree weather, walking on the beach. You mentioned the limits of getting health insurance. Are there medical costs for preventative and maintenance care at more reasonable prices than in the U.S.? So when I go to see my doctor for my annual checkup, I pay $15. I have insurance, but I don't even use my insurance. It's $15. I just give them $20. They give me $5 back. But if you want to get mammograms, your PSA test, and all those things, in October, you can get those things for like $20 also. Some hospitals even offer for free. So all of the annual wellness exams and things like that are super affordable, even if you don't have insurance in Panama. Can a fixer get me a car of my choice, and how do I pay for it? So a fixer could do that, but we actually have a list of people in our online Panama relocation guide that we call car brokers. And a car broker is kind of like a real estate broker. You say, I want to get SUV. I want it to have diesel, four-wheel drive, or whatever. I prefer to have red, if you want to tell them things like that, and I don't want to spend more than $10,000. So you tell the car broker what you want, how much you want to spend, and sometimes they're going to say, you really don't want that car. You know, you might give them a certain brand. They say, that's not a good car to get here in Panama. You need to get this one, or this one instead. So the car brokers know they know cars really well. But usually within 24 or 48 hours, they're going to have 4 or 5 different cars picked out and say, we've got this one, or this one that meet your criteria. And you can go test drive those cars. And then once you decide which one you want, then they can arrange for the title transfer to go into your name. Some people, because we recommend them, most of these fixtures I've known for 10 or 15 years, some people just wire them the money and they take care of the transaction before they even test drive the car. They do get the car checked out, so you get a maintenance list of, it doesn't need new windshield wipers, or does oil need to be changed, or things like that. But use a car broker instead of a fixer is better for car purchases. And John wants to know, if I cannot pick up my permanent visa in 30 days, can my lawyer get it for me? Nope, your lawyer can't get it because you have to do fingerprints and a picture again. Your lawyer can pick up the resolution, but they can't actually pick up the visa card because they're going to take your picture, take your fingerprints, and you have to sign some documents. Are U.S. coins circulated in Panama? Yes, they are. The official currency of Panama is the Balboa, but there are no dollar bills. There's only some Balboa coins since, I think, 1914, maybe even before then. They've been using the U.S. dollar in Panama. So the thing that you're going to see more than anything else are U.S. dollar bills and U.S. coins. That's what you're going to get. You might even pay with a Panamanian coin and get change back in U.S. coins. And next question. After a pensionado is granted to one spouse, can they get discounts for the purchase and heir for the other spouse who do not have it? No, you can't. The pensionado visa discounts are only valid for the person who actually got the pensionado visa, but not other people. And they will card you. At restaurants, they're going to card you to verify that you have a pensionado visa. So I'm just going to take a couple more questions. This 1 hour goes by really fast when the questions are scrolling in. By the way, if I didn't get to your question for some reason, I know I can't possibly get to all of them. We got 568 people on our live stream. If I didn't get to your question, just send an email to info@Panama Relocation Tours. Let me see if I have that written out. Yep, I do. Right here, info@PanamaRelocationTours.com. Just send me an email. I don't know that I'll get to it tonight, but I'll definitely try to get to your question by tomorrow, Monday at the latest. I might take tomorrow off. So, can you explain the time frame in applying for a pensionado visa? You just start in your home location and everything upon arrival. So the process for getting your pensionado visa starts in your home country with you gathering the documents that are necessary for you to get your pensionado visa. The documents you're going to need are your income verification, could be Social Security, military retirement, pension from a private company. Can't be your own company, but it could be a pension. So income verification. The other thing you're going to have to get is your FBI report or RCMP if you're Canadian, your National Criminal Report from whichever country that you're from. And then if you're married, you also need a certified copy of your marriage certificate. If minor children are coming with you, you need a certified copy of their birth certificate. That's all you're going to need. So I would allow, it might take 1 week to get all those documents. If you're in Canada, the documents have to be apostilled, so it takes a little bit longer. You might need 1 month to get all the documents. If you're from the United States, the documents all have to be authenticated. or apostilled. It's much faster and easier to get them apostilled at the Panama consulate. So once again, I would allow yourself 1 month to gather your documents, get them authenticated or apostilled. Once you get those documents, you can scan them and email them to your attorney, or you can put them in a DHL or FedEx envelope and mail it to your attorney so that they can work on getting all the documents translated into Spanish before you even arrive. Also, if you got your documents authenticated by the Panama consulate, and they have to be re-authenticated in Panama by the Ministry of Foreign Relations. But that can all be done before you arrive if you send the documents to your attorney in advance. So let's say you arrive on Sunday night or Monday to get your visa. First thing you're going to do is you're going to have a meeting with your immigration attorney. They're going to have you sign a lot of different documents. One of them is a power of attorney authorizing them to represent you in getting your visa. They also are going to have you, there's this 9-page document about your criminal background, and we have a copy of that in our online Panama relocation guide. They're going to ask if you've ever been a prostitute. They're going to ask, have you ever been arrested for arms trafficking or drug dealing? All kinds of crazy stuff. Anyway, you can see that form before you even get here because you're going to have to fill that out. Your attorney also has to get a health certificate. Sometimes you don't even see the doctor to get the health certificate that says you're in good health. And then usually they upload everything to the immigration, and then usually 1 or 2 days later, you're going to actually go to immigration. It's very possible that when you actually go to immigration, the immigration office, that you'll walk away with your residency visa. So if you came in on Monday, by Wednesday, Thursday, definitely by Friday, you'll have your visa. So that's the timeline for the pensionado visa. Now, once you get the initial visa, it's a temporary visa. It's good for 6 months. And so within 6 months, your immigration attorney will notify that your permanent visa is ready. That's going to require another trip to immigration for you to do fingerprints, a new picture, and to pick up your permanent visa card. And that's it for getting the actual visa. One really important thing to know, once they've stamped your passport that you've applied for a pensionado visa, you can no longer drive with your foreign license. You can't drive at all. So if you were thinking you're going to, I'll apply for my visa, then I'm going to rent a car and go looking around Panama, you can't do that. You have to, once you've applied for your visa, you have to get a Panama driver's license, which is another process in itself. And we have details about 2 different ways that you can get your Panama driver's license in our online Panama relocation guide. So I've gone a little bit over my 1 hour, and I know we've still got questions that are pouring in. But if you could please just send those questions that I didn't get to my email to info, I-N-F-O, at PanamaRelocationTours.com. And then pop it up here. 2 more quick reminders. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think we are at 44,000 people on our YouTube channel now. My goal by the end of the year is to get to 50,000 people. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it or not, but it doesn't hurt to dream big, right? So I'm hoping to get to 50,000. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to our newsletter at PanamaRelocationTours.com so you can get 15 free lessons about moving to and living in Panama. So I hope you learned something new with our Move to Panama Q&A. Never know what the questions are going to be. There's always tons and tons of questions. Many of you, if you've been on our Q&As for the last 4 or 5 years, you hear same questions over and over again, but it's new to the person that asked that question, so it's an important question. So thank you so much for spending time with me this Saturday evening. I hope you learned something new from the Move to Panama Q&A, and I'll see you next Saturday for another live stream. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.